about how much more information the town might expect. If I could just read your answer.
I'm sorry, I don't know where you're going with this. What was the question that was asked of
Oh,
me?
I'm sorry. I was saying, just ask, before we vote on it, would the town, the citizens have more information, a site plan and something much more developed
Right,
to vote on?
right.
And this is what you had written. The preparation of the public presentation will come with an expense. We will need to determine what amount will be the responsibility of the town, as this work will ultimately serve the town should we not be the eventual developer. If we are the developer, all or part of this expense should be reimbursed to the town from the development of this material, as this material will become the property of the developer.
Right, and that's exactly what I said in
So
my answer.
what you're saying though is we will need to pay you for more if you give us more information and do.
Up until right now, the town has paid a considerable amount of money to prepare 8 or 9 documents from professional teams to the tune of thousands and thousands of dollars. And they're all about the sky is falling down, you gotta tear it down, it's all doom and gloom. We are coming to you with a plan. We're not saying, write us a check and we'll give you the plan. We're saying, we need to find the gray area where we're not going to do this for free. When you pay for something, you appreciate it. Now, it's really funny because these reports that are online are heavily weighed on because you paid for them. We're not saying we want you to pay for every minute of our time. We certainly haven't done that. But I think what we have to be is realistic is once we deliver a plan, or we give any more detailed work, there is an expense associated. Hence, let's find the relationship with the town. Now, if we're the chosen developer and the town has contributed to this presentation, then absolutely we should reimburse the town out of the soft cost budget of the plan, of the project. But if we're not, well, you end up with the plan and we end up with nothing, and put it into your document folio on your website and now you own it. So there's got to be a trade-off. We have to find the gray area, is what I'm trying to say.
I think the problem that we're all facing here is one of cost realism. The town doesn't want to make a determination without knowing that there's cost realism in your plan. And what I'm hearing is that cost realism costs money, and it's not obvious that you want to do it without either being reimbursed or being assured that things will go forward. So it's difficult to understand how to deal with that, because we really need to know how much is it going to cost you to build this out, and so that we can, for example, calculate whether we think the price of your condominiums is appropriate for the amount of money that it's going to cost. This sort of exercise in how much it's going to cost and how realistic the finances are and the financials are that we're talking about. And I don't really see from what you're saying how to...
I don't have an answer for you on what we can actually, it's going to reassure you. Again, the town has paid a considerable amount of money to contractors to evaluate every aspect of that building to destroy it. We're not saying we're up here looking for you to pay us to give us a job and then we're going to go away. We want to do the project. But if you think that anybody in this room, anyone of this team, could possibly give you a complete construction breakdown and analysis of this project with 4 hours of a walkthrough, that is absolutely impossible. And so there needs to be, is what I'm trying to say, is when we get to that point, there needs to be an agreement with the select board as to what everyone's going to contribute for the context of what we need to present to the town. And there needs to, and when I say everyone's got to buy in, this is a prime example that everyone in this community has to buy in on this project. Because if it's just about us, it won't work. If there's naysayers, not saying you're a naysayer, but if the naysayers out there put up the wall and we are saying, let's do it, we're not gonna go anywhere. We just have to be reassured that we're moving in the right direction and that there is a good faith on both parties to supply as much information given the information we presently have at hand. And right now, our information, other than what the RFP requested, which was, what's your thoughts? We don't have a lot of bricks and mortar measurements and drawings and cost spreadsheets to throw around the table and haggle out with you. We just don't, we're not there yet.
You know, as someone who works on development projects, I think everyone has to be realistic and understand their response can only be in par with their access to the building and with the access of the town resources. 100% of the town resources have gone in other directions, and 0 have gone in this direction. These people have put all of their own money into this up to this point, and like he's saying, town officials are even, not participating openly in this path, although there are 2 paths forward. So I think Michael was just kind of putting, the whole team is putting their hand out to us as a community and saying, look, you're talking about hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars as a town. You can certainly pay that, dig your hole, bury your building all the way to New Jersey or wherever it's going to go. Or you can look at some other possibilities and meet our needs as a community. A lot of us are getting older. We would like to sell our homes. We would like to have a place to stay in town. We're new in town. There are a lot of people that have had to move out of town because there's just no place to retire. At a certain age, you want to give up maintaining your own home. You'd like to have someone do it for you. And this is a potential solution. And to hear, a small amount of people, sort of be more vocal than the rest of us as to the problems, I don't think is representative of the town. So I think it's important that those that support such a thing and those in this committee, be more engaged in this process and be more vocal. And, give the right hand of, communication to Michael and his team.
Thank you,
And
Steve.
give them the time.
Beautifully stated. It's exactly the
And
truth.
the access they need to do a professional job.
Today we were in the building for 2 hours. There's been so much myth that's been thrown around about the condition of that building. We couldn't even take any boards off the windows to get any natural light. We were looking at a building with halogen lights. Impossible for us to really do, other than a visual inspection of the structure and the space with the bankers today, we were with brokers today. We were handicapped for a big part of that building. That's not how you're going to build this building. And so again, we're coming to you. We want to be part of the community. We want you to embrace our energy. It's either going to be all or it just can't happen. And you're right, you'll be hauling that building off to New Jersey. Yes.
I think we all ought to be ready to take the risk because of what you promise us. In a sense, you've given us a vision of what could happen. And there are always negative voices in anything worthwhile. I think this is very worthwhile. So I think we need to think in those terms of the possibilities that you put before us. And but I think if it all comes the way it should, will benefit this town enormously.
And I'm okay with the negative and the positive because I believe in the bell curve way of thinking. The gray area is going to surface if both sides are exposed. And even though we may feel that something may seem adverse, the benefits bring you to a place where you find a common ground and everybody really does win. Thank you.
I think, in the past, we've had a lot of single-use proposals for the building, which don't work. high success. And I think it also serves the needs of the community, which you're looking at. And I think the single-use proposals in the past didn't do that. So I think this could be a big boom in the community.
Yes.
Michael, could you talk about the zoning requirements that you would need in that building to do as well?
I gave a list of those, they're in the RFP, actually, a complete list.
But so you would want zoning residential condominium,
There's-
commercial use, restaurant, liquor license, food service, entertainment use, meeting, licensed commercial kitchen, institutional uses, adult daycare, long-term respite care facility, public office condominium, human service uses, pool, gym, parking, and I can do some other stuff.
Public
You would
transit
need the
assembly.
zoning board to approve all those.
Those uses, not all of them are actually going to be the project that may happen when we're done. But they gave a cross-section of as-of-right uses that need to exist under zoning and deed with that property. One of the problems that every development has, no lender is going to lend you one nickel unless the building can be used for a particular purpose. And so when I wrote the RFP with my team, I outlined all of the possible uses that we identified now and in the future for that building. And so that was the comprehensive list. Because the town owns this building, the town is the applicant, not us. We will work with the town. This isn't a situation like Haywood, where an outside entity went to a private homeowner, private property owner, to buy a property, and then came to the town asking for permission for use and occupancy. In this particular relationship, the town is the property owner. The town has to make application, working with our development plan, to move their sale forward. So you're actually in a better position. We're all in a better position. It's your building. We want to develop it. There's no third party involved.
So the town then would go to its own zoning board to make that property zone for commercial uses,
Working along with
long-term
us.
respite care uses. Okay.
Yes. And that's a very clean way for it to actually happen. It has to happen that way.
Michael, I'm not sure that's right. I get the concept though. I get the concept, but,
I'm sorry, and your name is?
I'm Mary Ann.
Mary Ann. Hi, Mary Ann.
Hi. Yeah, it seems like you're raising a really good point, which is that there needs to be some advanced thinking about how the project, if it was to go forward, sort of meshes with the zoning.
Yes.
Whether the town is actually an applicant to its own zoning board, I'm not sure that that's actually,
I'm not sure in Massachusetts how that
Yeah.
is.
but to your point that basically you want the town to be thinking about this early and sort of basically drive the process of getting you the clearance of what you want. But I just want people to be, the zoning board here in town is currently a 3-member volunteer board. I don't really envision that the town would become an applicant to the zoning board on this particular project. But that said, I'm sure that those are legal questions that
Right.
somebody will look at. I was curious too, is there a liquor license that's currently available for Peter Sam? Did you check that out?
I don't know, and that's something, again, see, what we've done, Mary, is we've come to you with a plan, and so I'm not sure what uses the town is willing or capable of doing. We can't make
Okay, of
applications.
course, the liquor license isn't.
Is the state, right? We can't make an application on someone's private property without some kind of a contractual relationship that we're going to buy that property or in some way a condition of sale. We're not going to make an
No, I
application.
agree. You don't have to work too hard on my question, because I'm just, I sort of think
Yeah.
some of this, to Steve's point, is on the town to sort of coordinate on its end.
It was a get ready response is what it was. Like, this is what has to happen. Again, even the parking, this is what has to happen if the town would like us to move forward with our plan on behalf of the town.
There are probably reasons why there haven't been a lot of housing starts in the town. And I'm just wondering about what happens if 2 years down the road, there are only 5 or 6, a dozen units sold?
The bank isn't going to finance this unless we have a percentage of each phase committed. That's how condominium construction projects work.
Okay, so what kind of percentage do you think?
Well, in past projects, I've had to have 40% of the units under contract by qualified buyers for the bank to be willing to step forward with their phase 1 of their construction loan. The same thing with all the funding opportunities that I've outlined for you. Those are conditional on use and occupancy. So if we find in phase 1 that, now, just so you know, there are about 12 people already that have identified themselves as potential buyers. And with the article that recently came out in the Athol Daily News, we got 2 responses from Florida. People who summer in New England who are looking for summer condominium ownership, and they love Peter Sam and want to be on the list. So of our 38 units, we've already had 14 people say, hey, I'm interested. So I don't think the selling of those condominium units is going to be a real difficult run, especially with technology of today. Exposing this isn't going to be like it was in the day where you had to hang the shingle outside and wait for someone to drive by. I think that we're in a much better, things are much easier. So again, they're not going to lend all the money, let us build all the units, and then sit here with a vacant done building. There's going to be conditions to the lender that they're going to require a certain amount of our diligence resolved. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. So I just want to say, as a townie who has seen what's happened over there, my mother drove the girls to the academy, my father did the lawn, and I was with that small group that started the Friends of Nichuagin. And it was very easy to get over 55 people to come into a room like this to say, we want something to happen. And what my concern is that I don't want us as a community to start to battle each other of what we want to do there, because small towns sometimes, I don't even like the color of your house, or I don't like your dog because you're opposed to this. We have got to come together. This to me could be an option, and it will be only an option if we can start to open our hearts to listen to this. So I just want to offer that, because I'm a townie who may want to get one of those condominiums rather than live in an 8-room house that I want to narrow down. So thank you.
Thank you. The other thing too, part of that article that came out in the Athol Daily News, it connected us with one of the people who's organized an alumni get-together of some of his past parochial school students. And they are in Connecticut this weekend at a big reunion. And so I've talked with them and said, round up your troops and let's get everybody together and let's, maybe put a fundraiser together. Maybe you can be a benefactor to a part of the project. They're going to contact Michelle, and I turned them on to Michelle because that's where she wants to get focused. Again, community working with community. Here's a group of people who went to school there in the 1960s who are having a meeting in Connecticut who are worried about their old school and how they can help. So when you reach out, you never know what gifts are going to come.
I only thought of this question from something Larry said, but I may as well throw it out there because I know nothing about condo associations. Would that be a pet-friendly place that people who purchase in could bring their existing pets?
Typically in a homeowners association, there are conditions for types of pets that are allowed. I mean, if you want to bring in your pet snake, you might not be able to do that. But, but if you have a cat, I mean, again, Depending, and it also depends on what part of the building you live in. Now, I don't know, I'm not gonna actually sit there and, I'm not personally gonna write the homeowners association, bylaws. They're gonna be written by the team, made up of a cross-section of people who talk about these kinds of issues.
But would people know the answers to these questions
Yeah, well,
before they buy in?
before you'd even buy a unit, actually, when you make an offer on a condominium association space, the master deed and the condo documents are already in place. And so those, typically the realtor supplies the offeree with the master deed and condo documents, and there's a review period. So it would say to you, yes, you can have a dog under 25 pounds, this is the walking zone, this is what you can do, blah, 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 all those things are outlined, yes. But you would know that prior to buying a unit, absolutely.
Do you have an idea of the timeline and financial commitments by the various parties to get to the point where you could go to the bank?
From what we're understanding, this is our interview night. This committee is going to make a recommendation to the select board. The select board is going to call discussion on this sometime late August or September. At that point, I think you're going to then, we're going to either be here to give you a show, and you're going to have a decision. Go with our plan, abate a building, leave it alone, or tear it down and abate it. That's going to be the decision. If you decide at that point to go with our plan, then we go into the zoning aspect and the conditions that have been outlined in the RFP that are going to take the time. So ideally, if we were ready to convey the property by early spring of next year, construction could begin relatively quickly, and so then we would be looking at, 18 to 24 months before the project would be finalized. So,
Based on your experience, though, do you know what the financial commitment would be from the various parties to get to that point?
no, I don't have the answer right now, today, no. There's too many variables for me to really look at. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities for funding that we need to look at. There's opportunities with the bank, partnering with the bank, different relationships with different lenders, investor groups, town participation. I mean, there's a lot of discussion, so I don't have an answer to that today, no.
What about what you did in other projects?
It was the same process where I had to get to the point where I had the zoning, get the building, acquire the building, get the development money, and that would take, like for example, our project in Yarmouth took 2 years before we were actually under construction, once all approvals and lendings were in place. So in this particular case, realistically, I don't think that we could actually break ground on this project until sometime spring of next year, and that's given an aggressive approach from the zoning board of appeals. So you still got some time, but we think we've got a good plan.
What about the financials of the monster? Is that something you could get clear about?
My